Welcome to Innovation's 24 Insights. A patient walks into a clinic with a knee problem and walks out with a whole new leg. That, increasingly, is how enterprises use AI to build software. This is the new leg problem: what it costs, why it happens, and how to fix the knee instead. For decades, building an enterprise application was expensive enough that someone had to ask, where does this belong? AI removed that barrier. Anyone can now ship an enterprise-grade application. So when a core system is missing a feature or a report, the Gap gets an app, built in days, shipped beside the core. The reflex is older than AI. The workaround used to be a spreadsheet. Now it arrives as a real application. Locally, that feels like progress. Globally, it is sprawl. Picture the clinic. The doctor agrees the knee is bad, and instead of treating it, fits a whole new leg. Excellent materials. Works on day one. But the knee was never fixed, and the patient now maintains 2 limbs and 1 complicated gait for life. Every satellite application is a new leg, locally superior, globally destabilizing. Here is the reflex, end-to-end. It starts with a gap, a missing feature in a core application. AI builds the satellite app in days. With it comes a new stack to run and patch. A new security model with identities of its own. And new reports, producing numbers beside the masters. All of it lands in the tie-out, where satellite numbers must reconcile with ERP, CRM, and PPM. And when the workaround becomes critical, it produces the next gap, and the cycle turns again. Ask what actually goes to production. The feature, and around it, an estate in miniature. A runtime and infrastructure owned by no one in particular. A pipeline pulling data out of the core. A second identity model with new accounts and new offboarding to forget. Reports of its own beside the masters. And a dependency tree aging on its own clock. Multiply the reflex across a year, and this is the estate. Around the CRM, quoting and discount satellites. Around the ERP, payment trackers and margin dashboards. Around the PPM system, intake boards and roll-ups. Around the HRIS, onboarding trackers and contractor portals. Underneath it all, one enterprise, where every satellite number must still tie out with the masters. And every satellite adds a stack to patch, a security model to govern, a report line to reconcile, and an owner to find later. The costs arrive on the anniversaries. First, maintenance. The builders move on, and a critical workflow depends on code nobody owns. Second, upgrades. Every satellite ages on its own clock, and every core upgrade becomes a regression test. Third, security. Many models can be controlled, but controlling many costs far more than controlling one. And beneath it all, every number must still tie out at close. None of this happens because AI writes bad code. Mostly, it writes remarkably good code. It happens because code is the smallest part of an enterprise application. The prompt carries the feature. The context stays in the organization. The history, the regulation, the data lineage, the financial reality. Almost none of it is written down where a model could read it. Underneath every application estate, the enterprise runs on 9 processes. People and suppliers, hire to retire, source to contract, procure-to-pay. Customers and products, idea to market, deal to dollar, issue to resolution. Operations and finance, plan to fulfill, record to report, risk to compliance. All of them cross the core systems. None belongs to a single app. What keeps them whole is business context, enterprise architecture, and one model of security and compliance. The answer is not less AI. It is AI inside the architecture. Put specialists who know the core processes between the gap and the build. Their job is not to say no. It is to ask where the feature belongs, then an architecture review and a short ladder. Configure the core, extend it, integrate on sanctioned rails, or build new inside the architecture, with AI accelerating every rung. The ladder is not a wall. It is a diagnosis, and to work, the governed path has to be the fast path. Watch the same gap take the governed path. It starts with the same missing feature. This time it meets a process advisor who knows the context and the history. Then an architecture review, security, data, compliance, and cost. Rung 1, configure the core. The feature often already exists. Rung 2, extend the core on the platform you own. Rung 3, integrate on sanctioned rails with one identity. Rung 4, build new inside the architecture, accelerated by AI. Every rung lands in the same place. One architecture, one security model, one version of the truth. The argument that survives every counterargument is continuity. Applications outlive teams, vendors, and organization charts. Eventually, someone must understand the full process, how an order becomes cash, how a hire becomes a payslip. The more the estate fragments, the fewer people can hold it. Transformation is a loop. Assess, modernize, optimize, repeat. Keep every gap inside the loop. Every enterprise has satellites. The question is whether someone understands the whole. Innovations 24 maps application estates against the 9 core processes, where the satellites are, what they cost, and where they belong. Book a discovery call, the link is on your screen, and bring the whole patient.